Yeah, I'll tell you about the remote viewing thing. Because the reason I got into remote viewing, this was 2021, there was a random post on one of the World Memory Championship Facebook pages, and it said something cryptic like, if you're interested in making a little bit of cash on the side using your memory, send us a message. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And yeah, they didn't say anything until I was on the phone with somebody, and they were like, have you ever heard of remote viewing? And I was like, I honestly had never. I didn't. I was like, is that some kind of streaming service, or you're viewing something with, I don't know, away from your TV? I was so dumb. It's like, no, have you heard of Project Stargate? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe some psychic program. And then
Where did you see the ad for this?
Well, it was a post on one of our memory Facebook pages.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So they were looking for memory athletes.
Got it.
And that's what it turned out being. Is it was a team, a remote viewing team they were putting together with memory athletes and non-memory athletes, but they were interested in using memory athletes because of their trained visual abilities. There was a theory that they'd be better perhaps at remote viewing because of that trained ability.
Okay.
And they wanted to experiment with me and a couple other people. And they were going to pay us to train for a month with a remote viewing coach and to be psychics or whatever. And it was for a trading firm. So they were eventually going to...
A trading firm?
Yeah. So they were going to have us do associative remote viewing on tasks every day that had to do with the fluctuation of the market.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so we were potentially going to get a portion of the earnings and stuff like that. But the projects fell through at some point, but I did get my month training. And I did get paid, so it wasn't like a scam. They actually paid me. But I was so skeptical. Like in my worldview that at that time, none of that there was no room for that. I grew up studying physics. Very classically, that was what I was gonna be a physicist. And so this was not explained in that world, remote viewing. So I was just kind of like rolling my eyes, but I was like, you know what? It's maybe a cool story to tell. I'll see what these people have to say as they coach me how to psychically see things that are non-remote, non-local. And within maybe the first week, I had some experiences that like I couldn't explain, with getting the information right out of nowhere, seemingly. And so slowly it kind of changed my mind about what is possible with the mind,
So were some of the people that were recruiting you guys, were they like former Project Stargate people?
No. So the guy who trained me was trained by a guy named Major Ed Dames, who was from one of the original CIA programs, I believe. Yeah. Not the original, but one of those. He himself is a controversial character, but either way, the technique is roughly the same. Everybody has a little bit of a different take on how to do it, but it's ultimately the same. You're generating information from seemingly out of nowhere, or tapping into something with your intuition, in this visual space. And I'll never forget the first time I had like a hit.
Yeah, how did that go? Like, did they invite you out somewhere? Did you have to go meet up with people? And like, how did that work?
It was all virtual. I actually never met the people higher up at this firm. It was kind of weird and hush hush, but I would meet with my coach every day for like a month. And, step by step, he taught me the formal process of how to remote view. And he would have a picture that he had randomly selected. He'd give me a task number. I'd have to, from that task number, try to intuit what the picture was, like through descriptive words, sketches. Some were not even close, but then some would be so eerily close.
Like what kind of stuff would they tell you to look for?
Well, at first for training, it was just random pictures, right? So it could be a landscape of the Highlands in Scotland. It could be a picture of a dog, it could have been, mountain in the Swiss Alps, anything.
Okay.
I didn't know. I had no idea what he was choosing. It was totally random. And he actually had software that would randomize some image selection. So it wasn't like he was even preparing them.
So there's no way he would be able to tell if you were actually remote viewing successfully or not.
Well, yeah, we would go over my results after.
Okay.
But I'm saying there was no, because I was trying to go through all the explanations, like how was I able to get some of these so correct? Like, is he subliminally giving me the information, like, and it's all a trick, or am I actually coming up with this information somehow? But the main one that like really changed my mind was I drew and described like a whale breaching the ocean, and it was after a couple of weeks. So we had developed, he had taught me the different stages of getting really detailed information from these sessions. And so I had all these components that just like looked exactly like the picture of all the things it could have been. It was exactly the whale breaching the exact same way with the same colors and components of the photo. Like it was all described there. It was just like mind blowing to me that I generated that. You know?
So I'm a little confused.
Tell me.
So, okay, he has the photo and you can't see it.
Correct. And it was
Right.
by Zoom. So he's on another.
So he has a random generator on his side that creates a photo, and then you don't get to see the photo. What does he tell you?
I get a task number, which is just
A task number.
it's just a random 6 to 8 digit number.
Okay.
There's nothing in the number. It's just a random number.
Okay.
And I used to ask questions about that. I was like, why do you need the number? What's the number about? Can't you just let me do it?
Right.
And they're like, well, no, the process is, you get this thing that you can kind of, I don't know how this all works. I don't think anybody does, but I think there's something, if I had to kind of speculate, when the tasker, him, who's deciding what the photo is and giving me the task number that he's assigned to the photo, that intention links the two somehow.
Okay.
So when I get the number, even though it's no information regarding the photo, maybe that through line to the signal that like connects all
Sure.
the information in the universe is what I can tap into through that number. I don't know.
So that number on his side is associated with the image.
Right. And he's decided that.
Okay.
And so he'll say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
then-
I write that down, and then I do the thing.
So he gives you the number, you write the number down,
Yep.
and then what do you do?
The first step is you come up with what's called an ideogram, which is really just as soon as you write the number down, you let your hand just draw a scribble almost, like whatever your hand does. Your hand will do something if you let it, right? And it might be like this, like a little zigzag, it might be a loop, whatever. And then from that, you kind of, it sounds so out there, but you just kind of like feel what you feel. I don't know how else to describe it. And you'll get like a general gestalt or like a feeling, and you kind of write those down like, okay, fluffy. And then like a general category, okay, landscape. Okay. You start with that. Then you go into descriptors. So the way that he taught me is he would say, you first want to go through all the colors you sense, the taste, the smells, the dimensions, the structures, anything that comes to mind, right? And you really want to try to quiet the logical mind. So anytime you're trying to like say, oh, this is what it is, it's a bird, that's what you want to avoid. You're just going through trying to describe things through your senses, like what is just coming to you. Oh, I feel like a pink, orange, a sharp, salty smell.
Whatever pops into your mind.
Yeah. And it's hard to do without your mind starting to be like, oh, it's pink and orangey. Well, maybe it's like a parasol on the beach. Okay, it's a parasol. No, you can never name things. It's always about just kind of describing. And then after you've done all the descriptions and sketches even, then you can start to maybe put it together and be like, okay, this all kind of comes together and is describing some kind of outdoor scene with some kind of structure that is, tall, jutting into the sky, and there's some kind of life form around, you describe it in those ways, which I always thought at the beginning was kind of like a cop-out, because it's like, yeah, of course you guys are saying you're psychics, but you can't really tell me what you're seeing. You're just describing, and maybe through general words, it feels like you're coming up with the right information because you can, you can convince yourself that it's correct. But there's a lot of scenarios where you end up going down this rabbit hole of really specific descriptors, and it's like it can't be anything else. It can get to really specific things that are really accurate to what you're describing. And I've talked to a few of the original remote viewers, and they can do this on a whole other level where they're writing such detail down that.
Which ones did you talk to?
McMonagle.
You talked to him?
Yeah. Chris and I went to his house a couple of years ago. Chris
okay.
Ramsey, and interviewed him. That guy's insane. Like impressive, insane. Crazy stories too. But there's
He can still do it at that age?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll actively do sessions anymore, but he, for a while, would, even past his days where he was working for the government, he would be invited to like these Japanese shows and do it live on TV, or he'd even help find missing children and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and he'd be right.
I always tell these remote viewers, I'm like, why can't you just go figure out and tell us how the pyramids were built?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we all want to know. We want to know who built the goddamn pyramids.
Right.
Like, go do that. Tell us.
Yeah.
You know, you can go to Mars 1 million years ago and tell me what was going on.
Right.
Just tell me what was happening in the Giza desert 3,000 years ago. That's what I want to know.
That's the frustrating, that was, and I guess still is, the frustrating thing about it is, you know, it can provide really interesting results, but at the same time, it's so amorphous and like slippy. Like it's not like this definitive, like, oh, tell me what word are you thinking of? Oh, it's bread. You know, like it's not that simple. There's all sorts of caveats, and like, no, it can't. It's got to be. There's all sorts of requirements for it to work. And at first, I just saw that was, you know, psychics like talking shit, you know. But I really think that it's just such a, like, there is an effect there, like some psychic effect, but I don't think it's a strong one. And maybe it has to do with what you said, like over thousands of years, our intuitive mind has kind of like atrophied, right? And so what we have hanging on is just like a weak force of it still, you know?
I wonder if you could train some like uncontacted tribe in the Amazon to do remote viewing. I bet you they'd fucking kick ass at it.
And they have like no knowledge of
any kind of technological society or technology or anything.
Yeah.
They're just fucking running around naked with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.